final segment of the broadcast today, talking about some of the work of the ACLJ too, which I think is important to point out. It's online at aclj.org, and we've got a new piece up. It's called ACLJ Urges Immediate Action at the UN to Stop Global Scourge of Human Trafficking. You can, again, read about this at aclj.org. It's part of what we do at the UN through our European Center for Law and Justice, is these universal periodic reviews of countries that come up, and then they are reviewed by outside group, by inside groups as well at the UN. And one thing we're focusing in on is the idea of human trafficking. I mean, right now, think about this. There's estimated about 40 million people living in modern slavery today. That is throughout the world, where, you know, you've got unbelievable access to the world now and to different cultures, and you can get this information. 40 million people, it's estimated, living in slavery. The idea of trafficking, too, people go right to sex trafficking, and they think about the trafficking of women, trafficking of minors, but there's also a huge effort of the trafficking of these slaves for employment. So human trafficking, again, going specific to the idea that this is still a serious problem around the world. Every country deals with it, including the United States. It becomes worse when you have, like, what's happened at our southern border, and those kind of movements of people. When you have those mass movements of people that are very tough to track, those are perfect situations for these traffickers. But it's also a situation Europe is dealing with. When the EU was created and the borders came down and there's not the security in between country to country, you also have, again, you give a green light to traffickers.
Let me read something in a report that we sent to the UN that has made, I think it's already having an impact. And here's what we said. We stated this in our report. It's on the human trafficking issue. And this is what we said. We said human trafficking in all its forms, and Jordan just gave you that. It's not just sex trafficking. It's slavery. It's a whole host of issues, including sex trafficking, but literally human slavery. In all its forms is an issue that plagues every country to some degree. By the way, including it's in the United States. We know that. The sex trafficking issue here is significant. While each country has different factors that contribute to human trafficking, one thing remains constant. Traffickers rely on the desperation of their victims to exploit them with false promises of higher paying jobs and a better life. Now, for far too long, when it came to sex trafficking, the law focused on the woman engaged in the sex trafficking and charged that woman with engaging in prostitution, rather than focusing on the persons that got them here and had them in that activity. Now, when you're faced with starvation and someone will feed you, even if it's in an unbelievably horrible working environment, and I'm not talking about sex trafficking here now, just human trafficking and slavery. This is a risk that the world needs to tackle. And we've now gone in to the UN, and Than is our designated representative to the United Nations. To 8 different countries, we've issued these reports, and we'll intervene in these oral presentations in the days ahead, because this is a really significant human problem. Humanity is involved in this. Fundamental rights are involved in this. This should not be controversial anywhere. Than?
I'm really glad you started with that passage in the report, Jay, because this is one of the things that we've consistently said to the United Nations, that we are going to address the issue of human trafficking each and every place in the world that it comes up, and that's going to include the United States. Jay, we've got another several filings due at the United Nations coming up on July 1st. Each of those reports will have a section in it looking at human trafficking for the countries that are being considered. But, Jay, I would tell you, we really proved that we mean what we say on this. Several years ago, we did a state-by-state analysis of trafficking inside the United States. And over the course of the last few weeks, we've had many conversations on this broadcast about being transparent about the problem of human trafficking on our southern border. We're supporting a bill in the United States Senate right now that would crack down on this significantly, because when a minor came to that border with someone that could not prove that child's identity, they would have to take a DNA test. I say all of that, Jay, to say this. One of the main focuses of the ACLJ and the ECLJ is to look around the world, and wherever human trafficking exists, which is every country to some degree, we are going to tell the United Nations about it, and we're going to work to eradicate it.